The February 8th meeting of the Board of Regents is now called to order. Welcome, everyone. The first item of business is President Kaler will begin by introducing the university's new Vice President for Research. President Kaler.
Thank you. Where is Brian? Come join me, please. Chair Cohen and members of the board, it's my pleasure to introduce to you our new Vice President for Research, Brian Herman. Brian comes to us after being Vice President for Research at the University of Texas Health Science Center. He is a cellular biologist by discipline. He is past chair of the American Association of Medical Colleges Research Advancement and Development Group, which establishes research policies across the nation. He was active in San Antonio's innovation and entrepreneurial community as a board member of many bioscience groups. And his civic involvement included being on the board of the San Antonio Housing Authority, which oversees public housing for low and middle income residents. He arrived on our campus last month and has hit the ground running. His task is to oversee our vibrant research enterprise with $800 million worth of annual activity. And it seems, as I will describe in just a minute, news-making discoveries occurring on a regular basis. We're very excited for the vision and leadership Brian will bring to our Office for Research. Please welcome him, and I'm inviting him to say a few words. Congratulations. Welcome.
Thank you. Well, first, President Kaler, Chair Cohen, Vice Chair Larson, the rest of the Board of Regents, and I thank the gymnastics team for being here today to support my welcome to Minnesota. I want to just say a couple things. So first of all, I really am very excited to be here. I had no idea how wonderful this university was when they first asked me about the opportunity here, but I've been here 4 weeks, met a lot of very neat people, learned a lot of very neat things. It's a wonderful place with not only tremendous successes, but certainly a lot of good things that are yet to come here. So I thank you very much for giving me the privilege and the honor of being able to serve with you and helping make this a better place to be. I thought if it's okay with the board, I would take this opportunity to tell you about some general activities that I think the Office of the VPR will be involved in over the next couple of years. The first is that we're very interested in enhancing collaboration. We'd like to identify ways to promote collaboration between researchers in all disciplines and to increase our public-private partnerships. Secondly, I'm interested in promoting, as is our office, what we've called a culture of serendipity. We'd love to create an environment where serendipity is encouraged and nurtured, as serendipity is a very essential component to major scientific discovery. Excuse me. We're also interested in advancing academic excellence, and from our standpoint, we're interested in increasing the research and entrepreneurship opportunities for students, both at the undergraduate and graduate and professional level. Of course, we're also very, very focused on looking at promoting risk recalibration and operational excellence, two of President Kaler's main goals at the university. And in that light, we're going to try to encourage informed risk-taking that will result in a more efficient organization. One of the areas that I think the university also would benefit from is an increase in the informatics capabilities across the institution, and so our office will be working hard with a number of different partners to support research across a broad range of informatics applications. We're also interested in trying to strengthen the research infrastructure here. This is, as you know, an expensive business, and the infrastructure changes on a regular basis and becomes more and more expensive. So we need to identify areas for targeted strategic investments. We also are interested in continuing to build on the great work of Tim Mulcahy and Jay Schrankler in terms of restructuring and reorganizing the technology transfer infrastructure of the institution, and to accelerate even more the transfer of university intellectual property to our commercial partners. And then lastly, we're going to be supporting the MnDrive initiative that we've put forward and requested from the state of Minnesota this year to ensure that we have optimal use of state funds in the 4 focus areas. So let me just close again and say I'm very excited to be here. I've been treated exceptionally well by everybody, and everybody's been very welcoming, and so I know I've come to the right place. Thank you.
Well, warm welcome to our new Vice President for Research, Brian Herman. I'd now like a motion to approve the minutes. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The minutes are approved. Next, President Kaler. We will hear from President Kaler. Please share your report with us.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We all know how active we have been since we last met as a group 2 months ago. We've been advocating together for the university and trying to put many facts into context. We've continually put our biennial budget request into context for legislative committees, and we've put our administrative structure, the complexity of our organization, and certainly our role as the state's only comprehensive research university, all into a context that business leaders, students, families, elected officials, taxpayers, and even our friends in the media can understand. 2 nights ago, Governor Dayton put everything in context and everything into perspective. I was sitting in the gallery during his State of the State speech in the Capitol's House chamber when the governor revealed some research he had personally undertaken, and I found the results breathtaking. Speaking of funding for higher education in the state of Minnesota, he pointed out that he and the legislature had cut the university and our friends at MnSCU by 12% in 2011. Of course, we knew that, and we had all felt that. But then he went on. He explained that last week he searched the Department of Management and Budget's computerized archives. He looked for a previous biennium when the state of Minnesota spent less money, in real dollars, to support higher education than in the current one. He could not find one. So he asked the MMB staff to dig into their pre-digitized paper archives, and here's what the governor learned. The last time the state of Minnesota spent less to support higher education in real dollars than were spent in fiscal year 12-13 was in 1980-81. That was my third year as a graduate student here at the university 3 decades ago, a long time ago. But according to the governor, in every biennium since 1980-81, real state spending for all post-secondary education has been higher than it is today. He added that compared to the 49 other states, in expenditures for higher education per $1,000 of personal income, Minnesota ranks 32nd. That's some context for tuition increases that have occurred. And it's no wonder that student debt on our campuses since 2008 has increased by nearly 20%. And no wonder that previous university leaders and this board have merged and closed colleges, instituted and approved early retirement plans, shifted health premiums to employees, frozen salaries and imposed furloughs, left hundreds of faculty positions unfilled, and eliminated many positions in the last several years. And no wonder we have aggressively tackled efficiencies and sought a culture change under our operational excellence work, which has saved millions of dollars in closed administrative offices, technology changes, and energy conservation while seeking new ways to do our work. So, Madam Chair, the history that Governor Dayton revealed on Tuesday night puts winds behind our backs and adds momentum and credible context to our biennial budget proposal to the legislature. We have a powerful story to tell, and we told it Tuesday at the Senate Higher Education and Workforce Development Committee, where we formally presented our biennial budget request. We told it with the words of a concerned CEO, Chris Policinski of Land O'Lakes, with impressive explanations of our MnDrive scholars and with the joyful, youthful sincerity of our students. Regent Cohen and Johnson, Beeson, Devine, and Simmons were among those there, and you saw, you heard, and you felt that energy. And I thank you all for your support. Amid the noise and sometimes controversy that surrounds any large institution these days, we must put things in context against history, against other states, and against the burdens on our students and their families. And when we do, the story of our value to the state of Minnesota is a real winner. We told it yesterday at Support the U Day when we joined hundreds of students from all of our campuses at the Capitol to rally for our budget request. It was the first time this board suspended your meetings to hop on a bus and advocate, and I thank you for that. Last month, many of you joined me, along with more than 400 other supporters, at our annual legislative briefing in the Memorial Hall 5 floors below. It was a great success, and we tweeted up a storm. In a modern performance metric, I must admit is still somewhat new to me, we actually trended on Twitter that night as hundreds of attendees tweeted their Support the U messages to the legislature, and those tweets were then retweeted by others. And believe it or not, for a while regionally, we were the subject of more tweets than Adrian Peterson, Prince, or Downton Abbey. Those mentions of the U on social media are significant for our reputation, and a recent analysis by a social media firm has ranked us in the top 10 of public universities with internet clout. We must leverage that for advocacy and for our global brand. Tweeting is the new megaphone, and I shout out our accomplishments far and wide, as I do on Pres Kaler. So let me turn to a major project we're tackling now, and some of you discussed it yesterday at the Faculty and Student Affairs Committee. And that is a request from the governor and the legislature that we detail our administrative structure by March 15th. And I want to emphasize the importance of that task to me, to you, to the success of our biennial request, and to the operational excellence of the university in years to come. So here's where this stands. We've been working to bring an external expert to assess and benchmark the university's spans and layers of management and administrative functions in finance, information technology, human resource, and purchasing. This work will give the university additional data, tools, and estimates for future cost savings and recommendations to ensure our structure, administration, and operations are effective, efficient, and among the best in the nation in higher education. We've contracted with Simpson Consulting, a national strategic human resource consulting firm based in New York, to collect, analyze, and benchmark data about spans and layers of management control across the organization, and to develop recommendations to improve management and reduce costs. In short, the analysis will answer the question, does the university have the appropriate number of organizational levels, and do managers at various levels oversee the proper number of people? And this goes to the core of my commitment to operational excellence and making this as efficient a university as possible. We must drive administrative costs down, as I have said many times, so that we get the dollars to address our core goals, to be a nation-leading level of excellence in all we do in classrooms, laboratories, and research centers across the state, and at an affordable price as possible. And those of you around the table all know that we've been working on this together for the past 19 months, and I'm confident that the report we will provide to the legislature and the governor on March 15th will be one filled with progress and efficiency. Let me update you on two other very important items. During my State of the University speech last year, I urged an examination of what I like to call the three-period plan, or better utilization of our facilities and academic programs in the summertime. And a small committee has been meeting since then to discuss this initiative and move it forward. And we determined that, although a full summer calendar was not needed at this time, there are strategic places where the university can enhance the summer curriculum on our Twin Cities campus. And I'm pleased today to announce the following components to the initial stages in our three-period strategy. First, we're launching a pilot program at the College of Design for 2 new undergraduate degree programs in graphic design and retail merchandising. The college will add a 3-semester option while still maintaining the more traditional 4-year program. Second, we'll move to make certain that every single category in the liberal education curriculum has one offering in the summer to enhance degree completion, and we will make certain these courses are also offered online. This will ensure that students can continue to make progress on their degrees no matter where they are living during the summer months. Third, starting in the summer of 2014, we will work to better standardize the undergraduate summer curriculum to one 7-week term running from early June to late July. For your information, in 2012, for our May and summer terms, we had 69 different start dates and 59 different end dates for our courses. Standardization of the term, I'm convinced, will enhance planning for those students wanting to take more than one class while still allowing for summer employment, study abroad, or other activities. So we've made progress on that goal. On another front, I'm pleased to report the Greek Task Force report has been completed. For more than 135 years, the Greek system has been an important part of the university community, playing a critical role in the development of thousands of successful alumni. We are in the leadership development business here at the U, and the Greek community has been a leader among leaders. With this task force, we sought to find a way to ensure the continuity of the flow of leaders and to ensure a healthy and sustainable Greek community. And I'm confident that we've done that. Let me turn quickly to many of our recent achievements. The list is long, but I get a special kick of celebrating all the marvelous accomplishments of our faculty and students. First, we should take a minute to think about the potential long-term impact of the discoveries by our Masonic Cancer Center researcher Reuben Harris and his lab colleagues from the Department of Biochemistry, Molecular Biology, and Biophysics. As front-page stories have reported, Professor Harris and his colleagues have discovered an enzyme that could cause the majority of breast cancers and possibly other cancers. The discovery could lead to cures and to prevention. It's a milestone in cancer research, and it's a spectacular step in this university's role as a leader in the health sciences and in women's health in particular. So we offer our congratulations to Dr. Harris. So when someone asks, what does a research university really do? Tell them about that breakthrough. I also want to congratulate more than 130 faculty members for winning our 2013 Imagine Fund Annual Awards administered by the Provost. At a time when funding for the arts, humanities, and design research often pales to that available for the sciences and engineering, the Imagine Fund confirms our internal support for the arts, humanities, and design. With the help of McKnight Arts and Humanities Program, we provide about $650,000 to allow faculty to pursue small but significant projects, to host an important seminar, travel to conduct research, stage a performance, or try out innovative techniques in a design. Professors from our Morris, Duluth, and Twin Cities campuses were honored, which is an indication of the breadth, depth, and vitality of our liberal arts and our design disciplines system-wide. It's a great program, and I applaud the winners. One more piece of really good news. Yesterday, Steve Crouch, Dean of our Twin Cities College of Science and Engineering, was elected to the National Academy of Engineering, among the highest professional distinctions for an engineer, and I'm very proud to welcome him to that club. Students. Our students continue to amaze with a wide diversity of accomplishments. I spoke earlier about the buzz we as a university created in social media, and on our Crookston campus, we actually have some buzz royalty. University of Minnesota Crookston freshman Emily Campbell was named the 2013 American Honey Princess at the North American Beekeeping Conference in Hershey, Pennsylvania last month. At UMD, there's been a dramatic development. Senior Katie Shea Violet is headed to the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. in April to compete in the National Irene Ryan Acting Competition, where she will perform in her own 10-minute play. UMD's theater department regularly produces national-level performers. And finally, Madam Chair and members of the board, we've had some exciting victories recently. The Gopher women's hockey team is on a historic winning streak, now at 36 games, and is heading toward defense of its national title. Our Twin Cities campus dance team won national titles earlier this month in Pom and Jazz at the National Championship, their 4th in the row. That news actually got me jumping up and down. And so we've invited the members of the team to be with us this morning. If you would stand and accept our congratulations. Thank you for making us proud. And finally, Madam Chair, there's another honoree we were expecting, but I'm afraid we can't wait any longer as we have a full agenda. And this national champion, as you may know, has a tendency to be an independent thinker and a bit unpredictable. So, there he is. Ladies and gentlemen, the 2013 national champion mascot, Goldie. Okay, with that, Madam Chair, I happily conclude my report with great thanks for all the guidance this board provides, the support you offer, and the good humor we enjoy. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, President Kaler, for that very energetic, which I've mentioned that you are, and lively report. It really was a great report. And I can't miss this opportunity. Some of you know that I also serve on the Wayzata School Board, and I believe that 6 members of our winning dance team have graduated from Wayzata High School, and the coach is from Wayzata. And so congratulations to the entire dance team again. I wish my report were quite as lively as President Kaler's, but nevertheless, I will proceed. I have several items to report this morning. First, there has been recent media attention related to the university's administrative costs. I want to assure students, parents, and Minnesotans who are concerned that we hear you. With strong support from this board, President Kaler has set a tone and pace for change that is beginning to transform the university. These efforts are a start. Although some would like the university to move even faster in tackling the challenges we face, we are conscious of the necessity and the balance between moving swiftly and moving thoughtfully. We have great confidence that President Kaler is a leader who is aligned with the Board of Regents and will move the university forward. Under his leadership, the university will continue to reduce costs and focus on efficiency, as you heard, hold the line on tuition, renew our partnership with the state of Minnesota, and make the U more accountable by tying a portion of our funding to performance goals. Most importantly, we will continue to make an excellent education accessible to qualified Minnesota students and conduct the research and outreach that will benefit Minnesotans and this great state. Second, I want to let you know that earlier this week, Vice Chair Larson, President Kaler, and I met with our counterparts at MnSCU to explore additional avenues of collaboration between the two systems. This was our second meeting in recent months and demonstrates our mutual commitment to ensuring that the U and MnSCU are working together to serve the higher education needs of Minnesotans. President Kaler and Chancellor Rosenstone and their teams have been exchanging ideas and identifying promising areas for greater partnership. These include smoother degree pathways and academic program coordination between the two systems, stronger collaboration around strategic sourcing and procurement, and joint information technology initiatives. We are making progress in each of these areas and believe that these efforts will enhance the ability of both systems to serve students well. Third, I want to report that Regents have been actively demonstrating their commitment to advancing the U by attending various House and Senate hearings and events in support of the university's biennial budget request. In fact, yesterday the board attended the Support the U Day rally at the state capitol. It was a wonderful event. The board fully supports the university's budget request and appreciates Governor Dayton's strong recommendation to invest in the U. Finally, I'll note a couple events. Last week, Regent Simmons participated in a panel discussion on shared governance with President Kaler, Provost Hanson, and Professor Fred Morrison as part of the University Senate Centennial Celebration. I had an opportunity to attend the event and thoroughly enjoyed the conversation. Shared governance is unique and sometimes difficult, but it is also one of the hidden strengths that has made American higher education so successful. Earlier this week, I also had the pleasure of participating in an honorary degree ceremony for Professor Thomas Sargent. Professor Sargent is a former University of Minnesota economics professor who received the 2011 Nobel Prize in Economic Sciences. Professor Sargent was awarded an honorary Doctor of Science degree from the University of Minnesota. It was truly an honor to be part of this event. The next regular meeting of the Board of Regents is March 7th and 8th, 2013. That concludes my report. The board receives and files reports that are in your docket. No action is needed. And now I'll ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. And now, next on the agenda is the report of the Faculty Consultative Committee. Professor Kolstad, would you please come to the table and give us your report? Welcome.
Thank you. Chair Cohen, Vice Chair Larson, members of the Board of Regents, and President Kaler, I thank you for your time and attention. Yesterday, President Cohen, you indicated that you would be interested in seeing the liberal education requirements and the student learning outcomes. So being passed out right now is a yellow sheet which gives you the quick summary of exactly what those are. I'm going to mention them briefly in my report, and I thought you might want to have a quick reference. My assignment is a daunting one. Updating you on our governance activities, which you may have already read in your docket book, is actually quite straightforward. But today I want to share with you some of the current discussions and concerns of our faculty colleagues. The faculty, of course, is diverse, but faculty members across this campus share a deep commitment to our students and to the knowledge enterprise that directly and sometimes indirectly makes contributions on and beyond the campus. As my written report indicated, the faculty and Senate consultative committees do considerable work to maintain the efficacy of administrative and regent policies. And to that end, among other things this year, we reviewed over 350 policies to be sure that consultative pathways are appropriate and current. We also keep open lines of communication with the faculty through the Senates. The leadership engages in conversations in a variety of settings, including the public centennial panel discussion, a series of lunches with department heads on each of our Twin Cities campuses, and next week we will have a conversation with associate professors. Those professors, for example, have been noted in the Chronicle of Higher Education and other places as having particular challenges: mid-career issues of life-work balance, expanding service expectations, and continuous revision of research priorities. And so we want to talk to our professors about that. Based on these interactions, I would like to discuss a few topics related to research and teaching that are engaging our faculty members now and as we think about the future. Because the University of Minnesota is an R1 university, that is, we fit the category that Carnegie Foundation has established as being research intensive, we hire permanent faculty who are intent on maintaining their individual and group levels of research that really do help define our university's national status. There is no doubt that federal funds from NIH, NSF, NASA, DOE, NEH, DOD, and other agencies have been eroding, even as the number of applications increase. To date, our faculty members are maintaining a nearly level support. In some STEM fields, the efforts of the Office of the Vice President for Research have helped to offset any government loss of funds with corporate support that can not only sustain our research programs, but also initiate new projects. But at the meetings with our department chairs, there was angst about securing requisite support for graduate students. In terms of productivity and also the status of our university, and because graduate students in many colleges are essential to the research infrastructure as well as to our teaching activities, we need to be sure that we maintain competitive levels of support. The issues are complex. Fellowships, especially at our peer private institutions and even at some public research universities, are growing to a level that is considerably higher than those we are able to fund. Stagnant department budgets mean that as tuition and stipends increase year to year, there is less funding for graduate student assistants and a tendency to substitute undergraduate assistants. At the same time, when the average cost for a graduate research assistant, including stipend, tuition, and benefits, ranges from $29,000 to $39,000 on this campus, research faculty with limited resources find it cost-efficient to hire a postdoctoral fellow who will not take time for classes and typically brings advanced skills to the laboratory. While questions can be raised about the current hiring market for PhD students, and indeed in some fields there have been self-imposed limits, many of the department chairs and their faculty members worry about maintaining numbers sufficient for an efficient graduate program. I mention these matters as evidence that the faculty themselves engage actively in ongoing efforts to sponsor a strong cohort of graduate students who are critical, we think, to a high level of research productivity and who, in fact, contribute to the kind of effective undergraduate education which distinguishes research universities. There are, of course, many components of research support, including faculty leaves, laboratory infrastructure, library resources, and other factors. But at the moment, my colleagues are particularly concerned about identifying ways to support graduate students at a level competitive with our peers and sufficient to maintain outstanding research and teaching. My faculty colleagues and I also see ourselves in the front line of responding to the commentary and public criticisms aimed at higher education on the airways and in print, particularly those that deal with the value and quality of undergraduate collegiate education and the job placement of students. We are concerned with rigor and with the future of our graduates. High standards have been the hallmark of education here. This is evident, I think, by the preference employees show for University of Minnesota graduates, by the numbers who go on to graduate and professional schools, and by those who do find significant positions in public and private sectors. One nagging concern, however, that is also evident on the national level is what seems to be a persistent and perhaps increasing grade inflation. That observation has led the Faculty Senate, through its committees, to consider ways to gather data and encourage local conversations among faculty. It is important that students and faculty understand current practices and thus the meaning of grades. This issue raises several questions. Would it be desirable to somehow indicate the range of grades for each course on the transcript and thus locate a particular grade on the spectrum? Would it even be practical to implement such a policy? And most importantly, what would be the impact on students? Looking at the issue another way, what are the mechanisms to encourage departments and colleges to have a conversation about the range of grades being offered? Some colleges are already engaging in this discussion. At least one associate dean for undergraduate affairs recently reported that in his college, at least, the average grades have remained stable over at least the past 5 years. Another issue that is of concern has been captured by the relatively new phrase of workforce preparation. But what does and should that mean for a university? I teach a history of 20th century science course in which we read about the transformation of Soviet education in the 1920s. Their specialization became so great that engineering schools were training ball-bearing engineers. That's not the path we want to follow. Modern public education has always been fundamentally about, first, establishing core values and traditions, second, building specific skills such as effective communication and analytical thinking, and third, providing up-to-date course content. From elementary school through higher education, the challenge is to balance those three categories. My faculty colleagues and I believe that our particular assignment is to ensure that university graduates are ready for creative and critical work. We believe that our liberal education requirements are intended to equip graduates in the 21st century to deal with those issues relating to technology and society, diversity, ethics, global perspectives, and the environment. Moreover, across all of our campuses, instructors are using the new technologies in their classroom, from internet assignments to clickers in class, experimenting with various configurations of group work in our new science classroom building, and attending a standing room only presentation on what facilities we had for e-education that was coordinated by my colleague, Chris Kramer. Faculty members do want to prepare students for the future and careers in a way that allows them to move very quickly into current work sites and to be nimble enough to adapt to rapid and unanticipated changes. As Provost Hansen observed yesterday at the Academic and Student Affairs Committee meeting, historically and right now, faculty are incrementally involved in incorporating new methods for teaching writing, conducting group work, integrating technology, and engaging students in direct and significant ways. And a few have even signed on to develop, in very short order, MOOCs. My written report in your docket summarized recent activities of the Faculty Consultative Committee, and so I decided today to offer you a window on some of the less formal but significant concerns that are currently on the mind of our faculty members. My intention has been to remind you of the dynamic and important ways faculty identify problems and possibilities that challenge us, and to make clear that we actively participate in the solutions. Again, I thank you for your attention and invite any questions you might have.
Thank you very much, Professor Kolstad, and I think it just underlines the importance of shared governance and the work that the Faculty Senate does and all the faculty. Are there any questions? If not, oh, yes, Regent Larson.
Question, and strictly your opinion, okay? With the challenges that we have faced as an institution and an industry, I suppose you could say, in the last few years, in your opinion, what's the level of engagement on the part of our faculty? Is it the same as, or perhaps even more intense because of some of the challenges?
I think faculty do feel that there are more challenges than ever. I think we do understand that there is more activity that goes around things like risk analysis. We do a lot more reporting than we used to do. But at core, when I talk to my faculty colleagues, we're here because we're educators, we're here because we really do care about the students, and we're here because, in fact, a research university lets us do the kind of intellectual work that keeps us excited. So I think engagement is still very high.
Congratulations to your fellow academics and teachers, and thank you so much for your leadership.
Thank you.
Regent Allen. Did you?
That's fine.
No, Regent Allen got his question answered.
Thank you very much. I was just going to ask, you know, in preparation, you had to sort through a number of issues and pick those that would fit into the time schedule and were most important. But just out of curiosity, how many, rough guess, would you say other issues there are of that same magnitude that you would like to have talked to about also, and probably will talk to us about in the future?
Well, I will meet with you again, Regent Allen, and therefore we'll talk about some other things at our next meeting. There aren't a lot of things that I think we're deeply concerned about, but I certainly sorted through about 7 or 8 issues to think which are the ones that are on your mind, that are in the media, that we need to talk about today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you again. Our next item for consideration is a resolution related to the merger of UMF and MMF, the University of Minnesota Foundation and the Minnesota Medical Foundation. As Mr. Rotenberg makes his way to the table, is Mr. Rotenberg here? Maybe not. I want to emphasize how important this merger is in positioning the university for success in the future. In particular, I would like to note and recognize the leadership of UMF Board Chair Chris Johnson and MMF Board Chair Tom Olson. I believe Tom is in the audience today, perhaps. And thank you both for your leadership and service to the university in this endeavor. President Kaler, I know you have dedicated a significant amount of time to philanthropy, and I want to thank you for your leadership in bringing this merger forward. Would you like to make some remarks?
Thank you, Madam Chair. If General Counsel Rotenberg is not here, I can also handle the resolution for you. But I would reflect on the fact that we are about to make, you as a board are about to make important history. Under your authority, you have the opportunity to approve the resolution that will ratify a merger that clearly promotes the university's interests and the interests of our students. And I recommend this merger without reservation. If you approve the resolution, the university will have one focused foundation to support our students, faculty, their research, our patients, and their families, and all we do here at the university. The proposed merger also means we can work with the philanthropic community as a single entity with a single voice speaking on behalf of our great university. We should celebrate the Minnesota Medical Foundation's 75-year history of service, of cures, of treatments, and of breakthroughs, and the donors who made that happen. But pending your approval, we must also celebrate what's to come, one unified, stronger University of Minnesota Foundation. I want to thank Steve Goldstein, Becky Malkerson, their boards, and all the others who have worked extremely hard to bring us to this important day. In your docket material, page 38, is the summary of the policy issues. I believe you're aware of the background information, and the resolution for approval is on page 39 of your docket material, and it is a resolution that you find that determines the merger to promote the university's interest, to protect the university's property, and to ratify my consent to the specific written terms of the merger.
Is there a motion to approve? Thank you. And a second? All right, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Regent Simmons.
Thank you, Chair Cohen. Yes, I can't let this moment go too rapidly, because not only is it historic, but it's really a testimony to the extraordinary support for the University of Minnesota in this community. Organizations don't like to go away. They don't like to merge. We don't like to lose, leadership positions. And here are two organizations of dedicated people who are volunteers and philanthropists that thought they could do more for the university by being one. And I just think this is a tremendous opportunity to celebrate that community leadership and support for the university.
Thank you for those comments. Regent Broad.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I too am trying to slow this down a little bit, because I think sometimes things that go so smoothly are not necessarily given the attention that they're due. And I think that this is so significant. You know, I've only been on the board for a couple of years, but as we transform this place into just something that is even more remarkable than where we've been. I'm just so excited about the transformations that are occurring, and this is a significant transformation for the university. And I think sometimes these silent dollars of donors and in our philanthropic community are so quietly given, but their impact is so loud. And I just wanted to make sure that we slowed down this process a little bit to give it the elevation I think that it deserves. You know, this university is a great place because of the university, but because of the people who support this university, who attend this university, and who give back to this university. And so as we try to efficiently leverage every single dollar to the greatest impact, this merger is significant in making that happen.
Thank you, Regent Broad. Any other comments? Well, I think we've significantly slowed the process to really to note how important and what a meaningful merger this is, and how important it is to the university. So it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Thank you all very much, and congratulations to all those who work so hard in both foundations, and now we have a unified University of Minnesota Foundation. Now we turn our attention to the university's public engagement activities. As a land-grant institution, the University of Minnesota has a unique responsibility to be connected to the community. This conversation will help deepen our understanding of how we operationalize our land-grant legacy. Provost Hanson and Mr. Furco, please come to the table, and here you are already, and please proceed.
Thank you, Chair Cohen and members of the board. We really are grateful for this opportunity to share with you today some of the far-reaching and vigorous public engagement work underway across our campuses, colleges, and schools. As you know, outreach and partnerships between the university and the community have been a part of the University of Minnesota's work since its establishment over 150 years ago. But today we're broadening and deepening what engagement and partnerships mean. Our activities are changing and evolving to reflect the changing needs of our communities, the changing disciplines, that are practiced at the university and with our partners, and the changing, evolving societies with which we work. Our faculty, staff, and students are building partnerships to address critical social problems, whether through our extension offices across Minnesota, community-based achievement gap initiatives, or global research partnerships focused on a broad range of issues, from food security to cures for breast cancer to advanced brain diseases. Through these efforts, the public and our students derive a variety of benefits, and the university actively pursues its research, teaching, and public service missions. We're leaders in embracing new models of engagement that are central to the excellence in this realm. Our partnerships with communities, businesses, government, educational institutions, and nonprofits are more and more reciprocal and more aligned with community needs. We're being intentional and strategic about our approach. Over the last decade, the university has worked to develop a broad-based strategic agenda to ensure responsiveness to the needs of the state, to reflect these new models of public engagement, emphasizing partnership and reciprocity, and to more fully integrate public engagement in the fabric of the university's teaching, research, and outreach missions. In particular, our adoption of a public engagement approach to community partnership work has brought with it several key shifts in how we connect and work as a partner with the community. First, community-engaged work is viewed as important to advancing the university's research and teaching missions, just as it's important to advancing our public service and outreach mission. Secondly, in consequence, the new model of public engagement integrates community engagement more firmly into the academic fabric of the university. Another shift has been in the way we partner with external entities. Our community work today is not about doing to, for, or even in the community. It's rather about working with the community in ways that incorporate the assets, knowledge, and experience our partners bring to the collaboration. Thus, we're moving, quite deliberately, from a project-focused approach to a partnership-focused and systems approach to engagement. This brings new opportunities for engagement, and it's a more sustainable model. We've been on a steady course over the last several years to build on this new model, and we have a robust public engagement agenda. We'll highlight just a tiny slice of this today, but a very impressive slice of this deep engagement work. Professor Andrew Furco, who's our Associate Vice President for Public Engagement, will next share with you some of the key internal organizational issues to provide further context for the brief presentations from faculty and students that will follow.
Thank you, Provost Hanson. Chair Cohen, members of the board, President Kaler, thank you for this opportunity to speak with you today. You know, as we know, the university is a multifaceted institution that is defined by a complex set of identities. We are as we know, a state-funded land-grant university founded on the public service outreach and cooperative extension principles highlighted in the Morrill and Smith-Lever Acts. And the university's public service and outreach mission is to apply scholarly expertise to community problems and make the university knowledge accessible to the citizens of the state, the nation, and the world. In addition to being a land-grant university, we are also an institution of higher learning that offers more than 400 academic programs that lead to undergraduate, graduate, and professional degrees, as the second column shows here on this pictorial. The university's teaching and learning mission is to provide a broad range of educational programs that prepare students for lifelong learning and for active roles in a diverse society. We're also a world-class, highly ranked research university, and the only research university in the state, as mentioned earlier. And our mission of research and discovery is to conduct cutting-edge, high-quality research and creative activities that benefit communities across the state, nation, and world. And we're a public university, and that means in this regard, we explore a broad range of cutting-edge topics that respond to changing times and ever-evolving societal issues. And so the University of Minnesota is many things. It is within this multifaceted institutional context that today's public engagement activities operate. And it is this multifaceted context that shapes the university's strategic agenda for public engagement. This agenda focuses on securing the deep and full integration of community-engaged and externally partnered work across all aspects of our mission in ways that strengthen all that the university is as a complex, multidimensional institution. Today's public engagement work is tied as much to our research and teaching activities, as Provost Hanson mentioned, as it is to our outreach and public service-focused mission. I'm enormously proud to work at the University of Minnesota, a university that has embraced a public engagement approach to community partnership work, as highlighted by Provost Hanson. The University of Minnesota is an institution that is viewed by peers as a leader in establishing and implementing a comprehensive and contemporary broad-based public engagement framework. You know, 5 years ago, I left the University of California, Berkeley after 17 years to come to the University of Minnesota, specifically because this is an institution that is serious about being an engaged university, not just in words, not just in rhetoric, but in actions. In just a few moments, you will hear from 3 faculty members and 3 groups of students who exemplify the ways in which the University of Minnesota is an engaged university. You will hear how the community-partnered work of faculty and students, whether it be with nonprofits, businesses, educational institutions, industries, or governmental agencies, cuts across our research, teaching, and outreach missions, is integrated with the academic programs, is focused on working with the community, and is moving from discrete projects to more sustained partnerships. And you will hear how this work is addressing a broad range of important and critical societal needs throughout the state while enhancing the scholarly work of faculty and the educational experiences of students. Under President Kaler's leadership, the public engagement agenda is reaffirmed in significant ways as is evidenced, by the robust community engagement work that continues to thrive across all 5 campuses. At Rochester, Chancellor Lemkool has made community engagement a centerpiece of UMR's interdisciplinary curriculum. At Duluth, under Chancellor Black's leadership, the Office of Civic Engagement has expanded and has furthered the integration of community engagement opportunities into the campus's academic programs. He created the annual CHAMP, Connecting Hopes with Action to Mobilize People program, a campus-wide day of service where students, faculty, and staff participate in volunteer projects throughout the greater Duluth area. At Crookston, more than 10,000 hours of community service were performed by students and faculty during one single semester. And under Chancellor Wood's leadership, Crookston community engagement initiatives continue to thrive. At Morris, Chancellor Johnson has brought the campus to national prominence for its efforts in addressing issues of community sustainability. Working with the UMM Offices of Sustainability, Community Engagement, and the Center for Small Towns, Morris students are leading campus green energy tours, preparing local foods meals for Morris community members, and assisting recent immigrants in improving English language skills. And at the Twin Cities campus, we continue to see substantial faculty involvement in National Institutes of Health, National Science Foundation, and other extramurally funded community-engaged research, as well as student service learning and community engagement participation. Last year, at the Twin Cities campus, more than 3,300 undergraduate students participated in academically based service learning experiences. Through our public engagement 10-point plan, we're advancing several important goals through a set of strategic initiatives, and these are designed to further the university's capacity to engage in more robust community engagement efforts. And before I turn the microphone over to our next speaker, Professor Behringer, I would like to just briefly mention 3 of these strategic initiatives that I believe are helping to secure greater excellence, greater efficiency, and greater community impact of our public engagement programming. First of all, metrics. Assessing the scale and scope of the university's community engagement efforts and their impact on students, faculty, the institution, and communities is predicated on having a comprehensive metric system in place, one that can assess who is doing what, where, in what capacity, to what extent, and to be able to answer the question, what difference is this work making for our students, for our faculty, for our communities, and for our institution? Building a university-wide metric framework for public engagement is a key component of our 10-point public engagement plan. And in 2010, we put into action a public engagement metrics work group that prioritized the key community engagement metrics to which we will be held accountable that align most closely with the university-wide metrics, such as student learning outcomes. As a result of this work, more than 80 units now that conduct community engaged work are providing linked data on what kinds of community engaged research, teaching, and outreach work they are conducting, and to chart the locations and districts within this work is situated. These data were not available prior to the implementation of our plan. This year, we're working on transforming those data into Google Maps and using GIS mapping to provide a visual representation of where across the state, the nation, and the globe, the university is leaving what I call our public good footprint. Another important area is internal alignment and coordination. You know, the highly decentralized nature of campus, the size of Twin Cities or Duluth, makes it difficult for one unit to know what another unit is doing. As you see in Appendix 3 of the docket materials that were distributed, for a particular societal issue that we might be addressing, there are sometimes a dozen or more units working on that issue in similar or distinct ways. By bringing together the units and the programs that are working on a particular issue, we can maximize the potential to realize and sustain impact through a more coordinated effort. For example, through our, and one way we're doing this is through our public engagement leaders retreat, where we bring together the coordinators of and facilitators of our engagement programs across the 5 campuses to learn about each other's work, identify points of synergy, and strengthen internal networking in ways that can leverage greater efforts, greater impacts, and on various societal issues. And in fact, the catalog of issues that you have in the docket were derived from this retreat work. And there are many other examples I could share. Lastly, academic integration, and this is key. Given that most of the work that students and faculty do happens within the academic departments, we established the Engaged Department program, which supports department teams composed of department chairs and faculty members and their community partners to identify ways to integrate community engagement initiatives into academic programming. This initiative has helped us advance the sustainability by embedding public engagement into the programs and not making this work heavily reliant on individuals. To date, 21 diverse departments, ranging from music to English to psychology to nursing, political science across the Duluth, Morris, and Twin Cities campuses have participated in this program and are now designated as engaged departments. I will end by saying that the ultimate goal of our public engagement plan is to ensure that the principles of contemporary public engagement that Provost Hanson mentioned are fully realized in our community-partnered work. We continue to ensure that the public engagement serves the university's research, land grant, teaching, and other priorities, and that we do this work in as effective, efficient, and impactful ways as possible. So I'll end my comments here, and this time I'd like to turn the microphone over to the rest of our speakers, our faculty and students, beginning with Professor Linda Behringer. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Cohen. Chair Cohen, Regents, President Kaler, good morning. I'm Lynn Behringer, professor in 3 schools in the Academic Health Center, chair of the university's research committee, and member of the Academy of Distinguished Faculty. I also direct the Center for Adolescent Nursing that has obtained 12 NIH grants over the past decade. Nearly all would be called community-engaged research. So I come to you wearing all these hats: researcher, educator, and mentor of students, postdocs, and new faculty. In June, I'll be ending a 4-year term as president of the International Association for Adolescent Health, and I'm in the midst of planning a World Congress in June in Istanbul for about 1,200 health professionals representing many disciplines. So you can see my public engagement extends from local to global, from research to service. So here's a question. What do these places have in common? Worthington Public Schools, the Minneapolis American Indian Center, La Clínica El Colegio, Face to Face, the Annex, and North Point Clinics, Shakopee Women's Prison, Central High School on Lexington Avenue, the Minneapolis Mayor's Office, the Ramsey County Attorney's Office, Maple River Public Schools, and Lucy Laney and Nellie Stone Johnson K-8 schools in Minneapolis. Each are places where we've conducted our research and partnered with community colleagues to work on behalf of young people and their health. But let me define we. In the 27 years I've been at the university, we have grown a large network of faculty, primarily from nursing, medicine, and public health, who focus their life's work on the health and well-being of young people. So today, I represent that interdisciplinary group of colleagues who have led research with each of these partners I named, and many more. The list is quite long. Let me give you a picture of these partnerships. I've given you a handout and a cover story in your materials for today. It's a story about Lead Peace. Lead Peace is a story about a credible approach with incredible results. In Lucy Laney and Nellie Stone Johnson K-8 schools, young people over the last 10 years have been engaged in service learning selecting the work they will do in service to others, and under the mentorship of committed youth counselors in the community and in their schools. This year, in those 2 schools, 152 students are working in service to others in their community. The goal? Reduce violence and keep them connected with school. Incredible results? Of the first cohort of 14 6th graders who started Lead Peace in 2002, 10 went on to college. 201, they defied the odds and finished school. 3 of these young people are pictured in the middle photo in the handout that you have. They may be in college in your district. I'd love to describe in as much detail the extent to which our undergraduate and our graduate students are involved in every one of these community-engaged research projects. Students love this work. For them, it's a type of service learning. The number of students who have first authored research publications, literally hundreds of them focused on young people, speaks to how this work promotes opportunities for students on our campuses. Whether it be in a clinic setting providing services or healthcare, testing the impact of an after-school program, or training middle school teachers about ways to connect with disengaged students, we believe that working side by side with our community partners is the only ethical and effective way to conduct this type of research. Over the years, I've sat on dozens of grant review panels in Washington, D.C., in Atlanta at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, and I've noticed a shift that's happening in our federal offices in health and social science research. Now priority is being given to this community-partnered, community-engaged research, work that demonstrates the kind of partnerships I've described today. And for this reason, I believe that the growth of public engagement on these campuses positions us well to garner grants that support our work. There are a number of issues to doing this kind of research. Community-engaged research takes more time than bench research. Cultivating partners, building trust between town and gown, particularly across racial, ethnic differences, is a slow and a deliberate process, a process that doesn't always fit well onto the 10-year clock. And it also means it can be more expensive research, not because of equipment, but because of the numbers of people and the nature of this process. As chair of the Senate Research Committee, I have made it my goal in working with Dr. Furco to find ways that lend additional momentum to this work. One, leadership to support, to connect us with partners and help build on relationships already in place. 2 is infrastructure support with expertise in subcontracts, protection of research subjects, and a myriad of other unique elements to conducting community-engaged research. And 3, additional resources for what can be, as I said, some unique costs of doing this kind of research. All of these contribute to furthering the ways in which our research mission fulfills our commitment to public engagement. The paradigm of public engagement has shifted and expanded on our campuses. It is no longer a single office in Morrow Hall, but a thread that weaves throughout our tripartite mission: research, education, and service. As chair of the Senate Research Committee, I also sit on the Senate's Faculty Consultative Committee. This past year, we've conversed about the redesign of Northrop, changes in international student travel policy, considerations to improve access to the St. Paul campus, and on my committee, discussed issues for launching research partnerships in urban communities in greater Minnesota. Each one of these issues is about public engagement. As a senior faculty, I welcome this 21st century view that public engagement is essential to our mission, our structure, and how we function and prioritize our work. Thank you for this opportunity, and I look forward to the discussion.
Thank you very, very much, Professor Behringer. I think we'll hold questions until we've heard the whole panel, and then I'm sure there will be many questions and comments.
Chair Cohen, we have other people, so I'm going to rotate off so there's a seat.
Well, good morning to you all. I'm Nick Jordan. I'm a faculty member in the Agronomy and Plant Genetics Department on the St. Paul campus, and it's great to have a chance to participate in this event today. So I'm going to tell you about some work that has been going on with wonderful colleagues in my college, which is CFANS, and in Extension, and in College of Design and the Humphrey School. And together we're trying to work on some of the major challenges of agriculture in the 21st century. And in a nutshell, those challenges are, one, to produce quite a bit more food, and two, to take good care of the biosphere in the process. And of course, those challenges have everything to do with the food security work that's being planned for the MnDRIVE initiative. Now, here's the thing. Because we're in Minnesota, because we have a world-class agriculture in Minnesota, these grand challenges are actually also great opportunities to bring new prosperity for farmers and rural communities and for the state as a whole. And if we want to seize that opportunity, what that is going to take is quite a lot of innovation. And if we could have the next slide, please. So that innovation is going to have to be not just technological innovation, but also a broader sweep of innovation concerning how we use land and how we create markets and the policies and regulations that surround our agriculture. And the bottom line is that that innovation has to meet what folks call the triple bottom line of taking good care of people and the planet and letting folks make a living through profit. And what I'm here to really underscore today is that if we want that kind of innovation, we have got to have robust, ongoing, reciprocal public engagement. It's a crucial ingredient for that kind of innovation, which is what we need to take this opportunity around agriculture. So with my colleagues, we've been working for a few years to develop a new approach to that sort of innovation, which we call a land lab. So a land lab is an ongoing place-based sort of center of activity where we bring a wide range of folks together to do the wide range of thinking and planning and visioning and engineering that are needed to develop new enterprises in agriculture. Our work has been focused around commercializing perennial biomass crops, which produce a hay-like substance called biomass that has a lot of uses and a lot of potential markets. And these crops offer really a great value proposition to the state of Minnesota. If we grew them extensively, we could considerably increase our total production of food and energy from agriculture. They have great value for conservation of soil and water and biodiversity. And importantly, they're able to withstand the slings and arrows of floods and droughts, which are becoming more common and pose huge challenges to our agriculture. However, they're not ready for prime time. We don't have good markets for them. We don't have good infrastructure and supply chains, and there's some things that we don't know yet about how to grow them sustainably. So this is what we're really working on in our land lab work. And if we could have the next slide, please. These are some of the ingredients, as it were, of the land labs. We're working with an industrial partner, many industrial partners actually, but one of them is a firm, Gevo, that's in the business of producing advanced liquid biofuels from biomass. We're working with rural communities broadly, symbolized by the landscape in the upper right-hand corner. We're working with many different academic disciplines at the U, symbolized by the research plots in the lower left corner. And very importantly, we're working with a wide range of community groups. Andy, if we could have the next slide, please. We are, the sort of centerpiece of our work is an effort to develop these biomass processing depots that make use of what we think is a real breakthrough biomass processing technology, which happens to be called AFEX, that solves a lot of the logistical and marketing challenges of commercializing biomass. So that's just a quick overview of what we're trying to do to get to the kind of innovation that we need to really seize this huge opportunity of agriculture in the 21st century. So I'd like to conclude with just some brief reflections about my experience in public engagement as a relatively senior faculty member at the university as well. I've tried to incorporate public engagement in my teaching in a lot of different ways, and I found it to be just essential because it provides vivid, intense experiential learning for our students. This is what we have to have in our education to develop the new understandings and skills that we need our students to have. Secondly, I also, like Linda, have observed that funding agencies are now placing very serious priority on what they call the broader impact, the way that the outcome of research and scholarship provides resources for action to society. They want to see real means and ways by which that will happen. And certainly we found that the land lab concept has been very favorably received by funders. Finally, I'd like to give a quick appreciative mention to something that I'd like to see more of, as we were instructed by Andy around public engagement. We have on the Twin Cities campus a program called River Life that is bringing together a wide range of folks who are using the Mississippi River and all of the stakeholder communities surrounding the river as a teaching opportunity. And so this program, River Life, run by my colleague Pat, not only here on the Twin Cities campus, is providing the kind of integration and internal efficiency that Andy was calling for. So with that, I'll conclude, and thanks very much again for the opportunity to be here. I look forward to the discussion.
Thank you very much. You have further, some students coming, I think.
Yes, Chair Cohen, I'd like to invite our students to come to the floor here. This is the first group of our students.
Chair Cohen, Regents, and President Kaler, good morning. My name is Salman Dar, and I'm a second-year medical student.
My name is Basma Jaber, and I'm also a second-year medical student.
And I'm Mohammed Ranganwala, and I'm also a second-year medical student. As a medical student, one of the criteria used in choosing what med school I wanted to go to was how many opportunities there were to get involved in the community. As medical students, we are invested in engaging the community in a positive manner, and one of the ways we accomplish this is by volunteering our time in community clinics. Our state is very multicultural, and as future physicians, we must be able to serve this broader population, and volunteering at these clinics allows us to become more competent in these manners. We volunteered at the Al-Shifa Clinic at the Islamic Center of Minnesota and the Rahma Clinic at the Masjid al-Rahman. These are free clinics meant to serve the Minneapolis population, and specifically we saw a lot of Muslim immigrants, both with and without insurance. As a volunteer, we took patients' vital signs and patients' histories, rather than having the doctors take them, allowing us to free up time for the doctor to conduct other matters such as treatment plans for the patients. This saves time, increases productivity, and decreases wait times for the patients.
Our community volunteerism has given us the opportunity to learn skills that we're not going to learn in the classroom, and to engage with a community that we're less likely to encounter through the clinical rotation set up through the medical school. We were able to work directly with patients who are often uninsured, who are most often new to this country, and who have cultural and religious differences in the way that they perceive healthcare. And we've had to learn how to adapt to patients who might have a language barrier so that we can make sure we're communicating effectively with them. And all of these skills are going to be of tremendous value to us as future healthcare professionals. We're incredibly proud of the work that we've been able to do through the combined efforts of the undergraduate volunteers and our community partners in creating within the Muslim community 2 well-run clinics where patients can come and feel comfortable knowing that they're going to receive quality healthcare regardless of their financial situation. And where we've finally gotten the charting and the organization to the point where the fact that we switch doctors from week to week doesn't impact the continuity of care, which is huge for our patients that use our clinics as their primary care facilities. We've created a space for Muslim women to come and know that we're going to be accommodating to their sensitivities and their needs because we understand how important that is for them. Our ultimate goal has been to serve and make medical care easily accessible to a growing and underserved community in the Twin Cities, and we've been able to do that.
I would also like to add that community engagement and service learning provide us with many benefits. For example, it keeps us motivated. When the long hours of studying in medical school become monotonous, the change of pace we get from our community work is refreshing, and it rejuvenates our commitment to learning for the sake of our future patients. Secondly, community engagement complements our coursework. Volunteering at community clinics helps us put a face to the disease we read about during our first 2 years of medical school. The patients we meet and the experiences we have imprint in our memory for far longer than any symptom list we try to memorize or any disease description we try to study. Lastly, it prepares us to engage diverse communities when we are working professionals. Physicians need the ability to connect with patients from all different backgrounds in order to motivate them and achieve patient compliance. We cannot fully appreciate somebody's culture or navigate their cultural boundaries unless we have had direct experience with it before. You can imagine how important this becomes during something as sensitive as a physical exam. Having a community engagement program as part of our Essentials of Clinical Medicine course gives us access to communities we are often removed from within our university bubble. Not only did it give our entire class access to new communities, it forced us to get out and engage, help others, and learn lessons that cannot be taught in a classroom. Through Essentials of Clinical Medicine, we participated in invaluable experiential learning and will one day be better physicians for it. Looking forward, one way to complement our community engagement programs is to make them a two-way street. In addition to us going out into these communities, we should also be inviting members of our greater community into our classrooms to share a more complete picture of their lived experience. For example, what I might learn about a person's health in a clinical setting may not encompass a variety of social determinants of their health, which can be better understood if they were given a space to share them. Such a two-way street would be beneficial for all academic disciplines. To conclude, we are grateful for the community engagement opportunities that have been made available to us by the efforts of our Essentials of Clinical Medicine faculty, and would love to see such initiatives across the entire university. Thank you for your consideration.
Chair Cohen, I'd like to invite the final panel to come up, please. And if I may, while we are transitioning, I'd like to just congratulate the team that you just saw. We saw 85 posters of medical students doing community engaged experiences, and they were the recipient of the Outstanding Community Engagement Award in the medical school. So I'd like to congratulate them.
Hi, my name is Brittany Ike. A few things about me. I am a junior pursuing a major in genetics, cell biology, and development with an minor in animal science. As a graduate of 4-H, I can say how much public engagement has influenced me and so many others. I'm here today to talk about my story and 4-H, which, as you may know, is a part of the University of Minnesota Extension. 4-H helps youth develop their passion. Our target age is from kindergarten until 1 year past high school, and it is found statewide in all 87 counties. The areas vary from science to theater, photography to agriculture, or even fashion design and childhood education. While in 4-H, many of our youth can be involved as they want, pursuing multiple projects with the ability to go to state and national competitions. An exciting program that I had the ability to participate in was the state ambassador team. It is made of approximately 20 to 25 4-Hers who apply to be the face and spokesperson of 4-H. I started 4-H as a very shy child in the horse program. I would never leave my mom's side and always have to give speeches every month that I hated. I learned to love them and started branching out on my own. I became the treasurer of the Anoka County Horse Committee. While in the horse world, I learned by doing, and that is something I found to be in every part of 4-H. Animal science was my main interest then, and it has led me to take every science and college class I could in high school. That helped my current enrollment in the College of Biological Sciences. One of the reasons I felt so strongly about coming to this university was my knowledge of the campus from previous competitions, and I knew the professors were truly engaged because I had seen them involved with feedback of our projects and the actual judging. Horses were my starting point, and they led me to join the 4-H State Ambassador team, where I learned even more about leadership. My first day of training caused me again to question what I was doing, and I was still shy and scared of how big this could all turn out to be. 4-H supported me, and the ambassadors were considered resources of information across the state. Our team came from all over the state, from the northern Lake of the Woods County, all the way to the southern counties like Winona. We took the role as students, leaders, and educators during our year-long commitment. As an example of public engagement, we took groups of youth into the community to serve at different sites where they felt particularly attached to. We also led regional and statewide conferences, teaching our youth more in depth about leadership, responsibility, and choices. When I graduated 4-H, I didn't want to leave. I would regret not being at the 4-H building during the busy state fair, and I was already missing my weekly knowledgeable meetings. This summer, 4-H hired me to run the science and citizenship exhibits at the state fair. I put together several exhibits that showed only a piece of what 4-H represents. They were around water quality, robotics, a citizenship theater, and even a tub of oobleck, or a non-Newtonian fluid. And they exposed youth to science. 4-H had prepared me for it. I could put together an exhibit because I had already done it for a project, and I could lead a team of workers to teach about the science because I had experience with the 4-H ambassadors. This then led me to another part of my summer. I was a Nature of Life peer mentor for my college. I took the concept of public engagement and turned it inward into college engagement. Nature of Life is a summer freshman orientation class, and we take our students and select faculty up to the Itasca Biological Station. There, peer mentors work with the freshmen to make them feel more comfortable with the transition from high school to college. And professors work to be available and open to show the students that they're not scary and unreasonable people. So the 4-H ambassador team had already taught me how to deal with small groups, and now they were just older and closer to my age. What was really neat was when I saw my old 4-H mentees come up and find me during sessions. It's something that I've even found on my student board. Our committees work to make the CBS community feel smaller. We work with professors and students alike, even professionals outside the world. But I still don't worry because I've worked with adult leaders before. I understand they have different priorities and different schedules, and it's easier to be flexible for them. These are just a few ways a student sees how public engagement comes out in 4-H, and I thank you for letting me share my piece of Extension's public engagement.
Thank you, Britt.
Good morning, Chair Cohen, members of the board, President Kaler. My name is Gina Bussman, and I'm an undergraduate student here at the University of Minnesota, studying political science, social justice, and pre-medical studies. I'd like to thank all of you for giving me the opportunity to speak to you today about the importance of student engagement in our surrounding communities. Since my sophomore year of college, I have participated in the Community Engagement Scholars Program, or CESP. CESP is a service learning program that entails 400 hours of community service, 8 service learning credits, and a senior project. The program has definitely been an integral component of my learning. While living in Colombia, during the first 10 years of my life, I had basically no knowledge of community service, or at least how you and I would most likely picture community service. I later realized that people in Colombia, most plagued by poverty, don't have the privilege to provide service to others. I came to this realization while doing volunteer work for Casa de Esperanza at the Resource Center at El Mercado Central. While the main focus of Casa de Esperanza is to eradicate domestic violence in the Latino community, they believe strongly that in order to eradicate domestic violence in a community, they have to focus on the community as a whole. The Resource Center connects the Latino community with diverse resources available in the Twin Cities with the help of bilingual individuals like myself. People go there seeking information about medical services, housing, employment, education, English classes, etc. It was at the Resource Center where I met an elderly woman who was so surprised to hear that I did not get paid for the work that I do at the center. After getting the same reaction from other people, I realized that I have a great deal of privilege. The people that I serve often have 2 to 3 jobs and are constantly working. To them, it seemed crazy that I was doing this for free. The experience showed me that I not only have the privilege to offer my free time, but I'm also gaining an experience that is critical to my learning. I'm more of a hands-on kind of learner, and to be able to have the opportunity to see the ideas and concepts that are being explored in the classroom makes learning that much more exciting and intriguing. The experience also humbled me, because I realized the people that I serve are people with an immense amount of courage, perseverance, and tenacity. When you hear about their dangerous and often life-threatening journeys to the north, you realize that individuals like these are the people who enrich our lives and our communities. I believe that it is important for students in the university to engage with and learn from our surrounding communities, not only because the experience will help us grow as individuals, but also because it is our responsibility as citizens of our community to use whatever privilege we are lucky enough to have to do our part. I am thankful for having the opportunity to participate in CESP because the program has truly enriched my undergraduate experience by showing me that I can play a role in the progress and prosperities of our communities. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bussman. Professor Barajas.
Good morning. My name is Heidi Barajas. That's like the airport in Madrid, Spain, so you'll remember. In all my university roles, sociologist, associate dean, and the executive director of the Urban Research and Outreach Engagement Center, or UROC, I am constantly considering how the work I do and the partnerships I enter into relate to larger university goals. My scholarship and teaching focuses on educational access for underrepresented ethnic and racial populations. The framework is success. What can institutions learn from successful students? Often the framework institutions work within is that difference is the problem, and the focus is on those who do not succeed. The framework of success was something I learned to think about because my work engages with communities. Communities think about success, and often they think about it differently from institutions. Understanding this difference has been key to how I think about and how I conduct my research. My research and teaching aligns with a particular university goal, that is, recruit, educate, challenge, and graduate outstanding students who become highly motivated, lifelong learners, and global citizens. Today, I will briefly discuss two vital partnerships working toward this university goal. UROC's partnership with the Northside Achievement Zone, or NAZ, and my work with Hmong families in North Minneapolis. The Northside Achievement Zone Promise Neighborhood is a collaboration of over 50 organizations and schools who work with children and families in a geographic area or zone of North Minneapolis to build a culture of achievement so that all youth graduate college ready. My specific role with NAZ is as the co-chair of the College Success Action Team, one of the 7 action teams NAZ enlists to accomplish goals. And my co-chair is a pretty neat guy, Phil Davis, who's the president of MCTC. We have 2 goals for our action team. Northside Achievement Zone kids will graduate high school with the belief, knowledge, attitudes, habits, context, experience, curriculum, and assessment pathway to lead to college choice and college success. The second goal is NAZ kids graduate successfully from college within 150% of their program length. We're a new action team in the process of outlining how we will achieve these goals, and this team is one of many connections between the university and the Northside Achievement Zone. The second partnership is about my most recent scholarship focusing on Hmong families and educational success and access. I became involved in this project through a request from the community of recently immigrated Hmong families who asked me to investigate if their children were indeed being successful as participants in a school choice program. The choice program allowed urban families to choose first-rate suburban schools for their children to attend as opposed to their community school. In general, we found that indeed students were finding success in their choice school. And we explored that through both traditional measures and through the perspectives of school personnel, parents, and the students themselves. And some of the successes we could directly attach to the efforts on the part of the school. There was an unanticipated impact of this research, and that was that the data from the executive report was used to convince the legislature into continuing an additional year of transportation funding for these particular Hmong students so that they could continue to go to their choice schools. Not all dissemination plans, when you're a researcher, include an executive report. But this was actually our first dissemination, and the reason that we did that is because our engagement with community required us as researchers to consider community as well as university needs. As this one small example demonstrates, engaged scholarship provides me with a mechanism through which I'm able to do more meaningful scholarship. I'm able to participate in more long-term scholarship as well. The long-term intention of, for instance, the Northside Achievement Zone partnership is summed up in this little t-shirt on which you will see the year 2034. This is the year the youngest NAS baby will graduate from college. The NAS-UROC partnership addresses both the university interest in the achievement gap and one of the demands of 21st century engagement, and that is sustainability. UROC, as a place-based engagement organization of the University of Minnesota, represents our commitment to be in the community for the long term. Our partnership with NAS acts on that commitment in real ways and moves our thinking to long-term partnership, something that goes beyond a simple project. The partnerships with the university created through the Hmong project I've been working with also continues beyond data collection and publication, addressing along the way the university interest in the achievement gap. We have connected families with University Hmong scholars. The College of Education and Human Development has provided pipeline activities for Hmong students to come to the university. The Center for Urban and Regional Affairs has provided Sunday tutoring, and UROC is creating computer classes for Hmong parents. Each engagement activity in turn provides an opportunity for scholarship. This work would have been exponentially more difficult without the support of a strong university engagement agenda. Without this anchor, we would lose our organizational focus. I've seen very good individual engagement work at other institutions become stagnant because they lack a strong university engagement agenda. Over the last few years, faculty and staff have benefited from exceptional engagement and leadership development through our Office for Public Engagement. As we continue these efforts, we now need to turn our attention to students. We need opportunities to develop them as the next generation of engaged scholars. I believe that continuing to strengthen our university engagement agenda is vital to the university community as well as external communities, so that both can understand that partnership is an essential part of the discovery process and that engagement helps the university accomplish its goals. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all for all the reports. I'm not sure whether Provost Hanson and Professor Furco, whether you have some closing remarks, and then I will open it up for questions, or are you ready for questions?
Well, we want to thank you, Chair Cohen, and members of the committee, President Kaler, for this opportunity to present this, and thank all our presenters. I think you can see even from these brief highlights that there's great breadth, great depth to the public engagement work, and we are prepared to take questions. Any of those who presented, they're all kind of grouped together, as well as, of course, the chancellors who are here, and Vice President Furco has talked a little bit about the engagement activities, but they all have a robust engagement agenda as well. So thank you.
All right. Well, before I open it for questions, I just want to say that for me, it has expanded enormously my understanding of public engagement. I am so impressed by the remarkable work of our students and our faculty and our leadership in this area. And so I'm sure there will be many comments and questions. Regent McMillan.
Thank you, Chair Cohen. I'm going to resist the urge to chat with Professor Jordan about biorefining, biomass, energy, all that stuff. I'll catch him later, but I just want to comment that I hope you all understand how inspiring it is, whether it's Professors Jordan, Berenger, Barajas, all the students we heard from, to see engagement in action here, because I'm not sure you appreciate how important that is to the stakeholders of the state, whether it is governments, it's businesses, it's people, it is communities. You're getting it done out there, and you demonstrate firsthand the tripartite mission of this organization. So our stock rises immeasurably when you do what you do, and it makes me proud. Thank you.
Regent Beeson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would certainly agree with Regent McMillan's comments. It seems like the outreach part of our three-part mission doesn't get the publicity that in the same way that research does and teaching does. So this is important for us. The challenge, I think, Professor Furco, is, and you alluded to doing more on the metrics and the measurements, is we have to be able to communicate the totality of efforts. We have to measure that and we have to message that. So the kind of statistics that the individual stories are great, they're compelling, and by the way, the presenters did an outstanding job. This has really been excellent. But the kind of statistics that I think can help the university tell its larger story have to do with, number of engagements, number of partnerships. We have to reduce these to metrics and then repeat those as part of our overall messaging. So I would encourage, you've already begun, I think that's on your goals to do that. Second comment I have is that this whole term public engagement is much more powerful. I know it's a value, it's a program, but it's also what the College of Extension is doing, and it struck me that it's a better term. Extension feels like sort of an old term, feels like an ag-based term, but really everything they do is public engagement. And so it's a great term, and how you decide to use it more broadly as part of our mission statement or our organizational structure or whatever, it's very compelling.
Okay. Regent Simmons.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for the presentations. It was enlightening. I particularly appreciated hearing from the students and recognizing that they recognize how important their opportunities are in making them a fully educated and rounded graduate of the university. It was terrific to hear from them. I think the presentations also demonstrated nicely the integration of the components of our mission. You did that so well for us: education, research, and public engagement. And I hesitate to say this, but in a way, I think as a regent, it's important also that I tease those apart a little bit and understand what we commit in terms of our resources, in terms of our effort, in terms of where we need to focus, the three critical components. So not today, that wasn't the purpose of today's presentation, but sometime in the future, I think we need to understand our relative contributions to the threefold mission.
Regent Larson.
Yes, I would just like to commend all of the presenters on this subject. Your engagement, your enthusiasm, and your commitment was obvious, I'm sure, to all of us. And we need to spread the word across our state to show what people like you are doing to make a difference in our society. Thank you so much.
Any other comments or questions? Regent Frobenius.
Well, I too valued the presentations and learned a lot about the activities at the University of Minnesota. And I think it's a wonderful sort of first look at this, not first look, but early look at this topic that does suggest some further exploration along the lines that Regent Simmons and Regent Beeson were talking about. As I listened to the presentations, I kept asking myself, and I'm sorry, I chair a finance committee, so I kind of think this way a lot, but, who prioritizes this? Who chooses what we do and what we don't do? Is there a limit to the amount of sort of good works part of this that we could do? I mean, we could go on forever. How much of this is really part of the educational cost to the university? How much of this is the research cost? And of the research cost, how much is financed by us out of our regular operating budgets, and how much is financed out of external grants? And as I sit here after 10 years on the Board of Regents, having not really a good idea exactly how this fits into the financial structure and the performance structure of the university, it just, the prevailing thought that kept going through my mind, I now understand why the legislators have some problems understanding us, when sometimes we don't quite understand ourselves very well. And I don't mean to be negative about our role, because this board works very, very hard at picking up a lot of the issues. But I think the challenge is to kind of find some ways to develop the metrics for this that mean something. And I'm convinced that what I heard from students today is adding significant value to their education. No question about that. But somehow we're going to have to figure out what we can do and what we can't do, and how we finance it. And hopefully your metrics will lead us there at some point in time.
I think President Kaler wants to jump in and respond.
Thank you, Chair Cohen, Regent Frobenius, and others. Let me think of the correct way to phrase this.
Go right ahead.
The complexity here, as I look at Lynn or Heidi, is incredible. And distilling it into these pots is really very hard to do. Lynn mentioned the number of NIH grants she's brought. Incredibly important part of our research mission. She describes her engagement with the community, extremely important part of our outreach mission, and the impact she has on students, extremely important part of our teaching mission, all in one person. And that's what the university does. And sometimes the desire for a simple or facile dissection of those pieces is a desire, but it's difficult. And in fact, as we were to dissect her effort, I'm sorry to make an example of you, Lynn, in a biological sense, it is absolutely true that the sum is much greater than the parts put together, and that's the magic that the university brings.
Yes, thank you. I think that helps explain perhaps some of the difficulties in compartmentalizing. Anyway, any closing comments, Provost Hanson or Professor Furco?
Just thank you very much for this opportunity, Chair Cohen and members of the Board of Regents. Thank you.
I echo that. We'll think about the questions that have been left.
Okay. Well, thank you both very, very much, and thanks to the professors and the students. It was a most enlightening presentation, and people certainly reflected that in their questions. So thank you very, very much. Okay. Regent Larson.
Thank you. I'd like to make a comment. I think that if the general public and most particularly their representatives in the state legislature had a better understanding of this type of activity going on here, it will improve our brand image, because this is really and truly outreach, if you will, in a real sense, very, very real sense and meaningful.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you. Well, now we'll move on to our committee reports. The first one is Regent Johnson, report of the Facilities and Operations Committee.
Thank you, Madam Chair, President Kaler, members of the board. Bear with me. I have 5 motions and 3 items of information dealing with alcohol, heat, and power.
Common element is?
The committee unanimously recommends adoption of amendments to the Board of Regents policy, the alcoholic beverages on campus, which are being presented to maximize the use of university facilities. I move its approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Madam Chair, secondly, the committee voted unanimously to recommend approval of the capital budget amendment for the Reuse Center Engine Research Lab remodeling on the Twin Cities campus. I move its approval.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries.
Madam Chairman, members of the board, thirdly, the committee voted unanimously to recommend approval of the capital budget amendment for the combined heat and power plant on the Twin Cities campus. I move its approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Madam Chair, the fourth item, the committee voted unanimously to recommend approval of the schematic plans for the reuse center, the engine research lab remodeling on the Twin Cities campus. I move its approval.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And finally, in regard to motions, Madam Chair, the committee voted unanimously to recommend approval of the schematic plans for the combined heat and power plant on the Twin Cities campus. I move its approval.
Is there a second? Second. It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Regent Johnson, all 5 of your motions passed.
Very good. Thank you. I appreciate that. On behalf of the committee, 3 non-action items. The committee discussed and received information on 1, the purchase of 78.13 acres in Carver County, landscape arboretum, and the 8-year lease of 16,000 plus square feet at 1200 Washington Avenue South in Minneapolis for the Academic Health Center, Medical School Advanced Research and Diagnostic Laboratory on the Twin Cities campus. Secondly, the Utilities and Energy Management Annual Report, which described the status of the utility master plan, services provided, cost to deliver those services, and conservation and sustainability efforts. And finally, Madam Chair, we received information on a lease to the Alexander Prep School for the use of the classroom space at the Landscape Arboretum and details of the recent emergency approval for agreements for voluntary payments in lieu of special assessments at Umore Park. Madam Chair, members of the board, that provides my report on behalf of the Facilities and Operations Committee, and I thank you.
Thanks, Regent Johnson. The next report is from the Faculty and Staff Affairs Committee, Regent Simmons.
Thank you, Chair Cohen. On behalf of the committee, I have 2 action items to propose to the board. We unanimously recommend approval of the proposed changes to the Board of Regents policy on awards, honors, and recognition. I move adoption of the revised policy.
Is there a second? Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries.
The committee also unanimously recommends approval of the consent report, which includes conferral of tenure for Dr. Brian Herman, recently here. Vice President for Research, I move adoption of the consent report.
Do we have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The motion carries.
The committee had a substantial opportunity to hear about and discuss the most important asset of this university, and that is its people. We had presentations dealing with the work of the Office of Human Resources. Particularly, we looked at a spans and layer analysis that they've been conducting to determine whether the university's organizational structure is optimal for decision-making and business process implementation. We also heard about and discussed their plans, their activity in job reclassifications. Finally, background material was provided on the current environment with respect to recruiting and hiring and the redesign work that's being accomplished, including the creation of a new job center model and diversity recruiting initiatives. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Regent Simmons. The next report is from the Finance Committee, Regent Frobenius.
Thank you, Chair Cohen. We did not bring any action items to the board for consideration, but we did a lot of work in several non-action items, and I'm going to give you just a brief element of each one of them. So, first topic was the annual capital finance and debt management report, and I want to kick that off with comments about a fairly successful financing that we just recently conducted, utilizing a different system. Fitz would go crazy if he heard me use this term, and he is because he's outside the door. But this is sort of an eBay type auction now of financing, where you literally are taking online bids from a group of acceptable investment bankers, and the low bid gets the deal. We financed $82 million of tax-exempt money at an interest rate of 2.98%. And let's see, $14 million of taxable debt at 3.3%, which are very favorable rates in comparison to our overall relatively low debt service. This is at a period of time where the rating agencies, particularly Moody's, has now come out with an unstable, unfavorable outlook of the higher education industry as a whole. Basically, the rating agencies are saying we have some very concerns about the continued ability of higher education to finance what's in front of it. And they did a reassessment of the university during this process, and I'll just quote from Moody's, one of the two of them, who affirmed all existing long-term and P1 short-term ratings. And we have an AA1 rating from Moody's, which is the next to the very top rating that you can have, and is an excellent rating. The AA1 rating reflects the University of Minnesota's strong student and research market positions, growing financial resources, and liquidity cushioning debt and operations, favorable operating performance, and cash flow providing ample debt service coverage. These are offset by expected significant debt issue, challenging state demographics, and constrained state funding for operations. The P1 rating for the university's commercial paper programs reflects sufficient self-liquidity to support maturing commercial paper. So for those that occasionally look at the university's current cash reserves, sometimes as an option for financing other activities, this is absolutely critical to our being able to maintain the favorable debt structure that we have in place. In fact, in terms of cash on hand is one of the areas that we are slightly below the Moody's median for that. And I probably delved into that just a bit more than I should. But through some hard work, we're maintaining appropriate balance sheet ratios to support our debt. We also had an annual review of insurance and risk management report. And I think the key comment here is that a 5-year review of our total insurance cost is very favorable, close to flat. And if you add the element that we have had significant increase in square footage, significant increase in student population, and significant increase in research activities during that 5-year period of time, that's some very excellent work that's occurring. We spent some time looking at some modifications to our current year financial ratios, made some suggestions to staff on ways to improve those, welcomed that as an ongoing item coming to our committee, and recommended to staff some additional work on longer-term operational productivity and other metrics in addition to the current ratios necessary for maintaining our debt and financial rating. We also looked at an annual report on our central reserves. We are still slightly below our goal of what we would like to build to in our central reserves, but we are making progress towards that goal. Madam Chair, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Regent Frobenius. And I would say that when you are talking about our bond ratings and the fiscal prudence that we have at this university, it is never too much to talk about. It's important that message gets across to the state of Minnesota that we are very responsible with our money. So,
Madam Chair, let me add one comment. Keeping ourselves in that financial condition has allowed us to continue with the projects we're doing. We currently have 3%, our debt service is 3% of our total operation cost. That's below the median level for the rating agencies, and quite frankly, is something we're able to accomplish what we're trying to meet our needs in facilities, but still keep it a favorable operating position compared to other institutions of higher education. That's a very important point.
Right, these are very important points. Regent Allen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to add one point. We always look for the best way to issue debt, whether it's by negotiation, which we've most often done, or by the auction process that Regent Frobenius described. I just wanted to point out that one member of our Debt Management Advisory Committee, who formerly was employed by the Department of Management and Budget, has been recommending that we try that auction process for quite a while.
Okay. Thank you all, and thank you to our financial management at this university and to our financial board committee that keeps us really keeps careful watch. Very important area, as are all the areas. Now we have a report of the audit committee. Regent Beeson.
Thank you, Chair Cohen. We had 5 major topics that we discussed yesterday morning. Number one was the external auditor's review of completed audit work and letters to management. That presentation really concludes this last fiscal year work by Deloitte and Touche, and we will be planning for next year's engagement. Secondly, a risk profile of the by the Human Resource Department, our infrastructure, and they covered several of our many initiatives right now, including the organizational structure, leadership, and employee engagement. Third, we had an internal audit update conducted by Associate Vice President Klatt. Fourth, an accountability update by Dr. Friedman on the Clinical and Translational Science Institute. And last, information items pertaining to the engagement of Deloitte for audit services. That concludes my report, Chair Cohen.
Thank you, Regent Beeson. And the next report is from the Academic and Student Affairs Committee, Regent Ramirez.
Thank you, Chair Cohen and board members. We have two action items from the Academic and Student Affairs Committee. The first is Board of Regents policy, activities involving recombinant DNA or other potentially hazardous biological actions. The committee unanimously recommends approval of the proposed changes to the Board of Regents policy. I move approval of the revised policy.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
The committee unanimously recommends approval of the proposed changes to the Board of Regents policy on animal care and use. I move approval of the revised policy.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
The committee also had a consent report. The committee unanimously recommends approval of the consent report, which includes new, changed, and discontinued academic programs. I move its approval.
Is there a second? Second. Moved and seconded. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries.
Under non-action items, the committee heard an update on the university's e-learning vision and direction. Part of this conversation included implications on copyright and the national landscape of innovation in technology and learning, as opposed to the presentation we just had that was some external engagement. We also had a conversation about internal engagement in the classroom, although we're getting newer definitions every day of what in the classroom really means for learning here. Related to that, we had an update on the university's efforts to assess undergraduate student learning. Your yellow handout shows you student learning outcomes. That was something we discussed in the committee. And our assessment of student learning at the U really serves our accountability responsibilities, as well as our institutional commitment to continuously improve our teaching and learning. Madam Chair, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Regent Ramirez. Is there any old business to come before the board? No. Is there any new business to come before the board? I'll entertain a motion for adjournment. So moved. Is there a second? Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? The meeting is adjourned.